Hello Internet, welcome to the second video in a series that I'm currently calling DIY Optimism. Today we're going to meet the Mirador, my sports van slash mobile home, and I'm going to try and give you guys an overview of life at level 1. Before we start though, I just want to apologize, this video ended up being way longer than I intended. So I've spared you a small lecture on climate change, and I hope you like it anyway. Cool. Fuck that. Okay, so what do I mean by life at level 1? Well, it's a term I've been using to describe life in a vehicle before any additions have been made. So no running water, no hot water, no electricity, and no internet, unfortunately. But, yeah, it seemed like an important area to explore because if for whatever reason, you lose your home or your shelter, this is, as I see it, a very reasonable plan B, or a very reasonable backup plan. What I'm finding is that it's fucking rough, but it's doable. And yeah, so in the coming few videos I'm going to try and show you how. Okay, so let's meet the van, shall we? It's right here. Let's rotate the camera. There we go. That there is the Mirador, or Mary for short. She is a 1994 Chevy G20 sports van slash adventure tank. She is named after my two late grandmothers, the legends that made this whole project possible. And yeah, she's almost as old as I am. She's got a bunch of issues, but her V8 engine is strong. So although she's a rear wheel drive, we do go places we probably shouldn't. She gets back, which is, what you want in a van. So a lot of people, when they adopt mobile housing, tend to go for a stealth build. So that's where you get a plain van and you try and keep the exterior as simple as possible. So not too many windows, no fancy paint job, nothing on the roof, and no solar panels. And all of that is so that you can blend in when you're camping in an urban environment, which is often a lot of the time. Yeah, so that was my original plan, to go for a stealth build. But then I met this big, blue, beautiful tank, and I couldn't resist that ass. So yeah, you can opt for a stealth build, or as I have elected to do, you can go for the road warrior look. If you're looking at getting a van, my first piece of advice would be to get a high top, which I didn't do, because it's a real pain in the ass not being able to stand up in there. And then my second piece of advice would be to get a window or two, but having windows the whole way around, like I've got, seems kind of stupid at this stage, just because they're all blacked out anyway. Okay, so let's have a look inside, shall we? So, as you can see here, it isn't the most spacious abode, but it is home. And what you see here is largely going to get ripped out as we start converting the van in the coming few videos. But at the moment, I just wanted to spend some time in here to try and work out what I actually need and how I'm going to place things, because there is not a lot of room. So here we have my generator, which is taking up a huge amount of room. But that's needed for another project. And so is like the trunk back there, the boot, is filled with other gear for that project as well. But yeah, so I'm kind of space limited. Just got my clothes back there, kitchen stuff, more food down there, garbage, tools, and recycling down there. So as you can see here, I blocked out the windows with Reflectix, which is like an insulating material, and yeah, it just makes it cozier in the back, and it helps you hide from prying members of the public that are always a pain in the ass. So like I said, Mary's got a bunch of issues. For instance, the interior lights died. They're running around the side and the top. They died after like a couple of weeks, but I got these USB chargeable lights, which I just taped temporarily around the inside. The dashboard lights died as well, but I fixed that with these, I just put bike lights on there and that's good enough. That I don't have a kitchen yet. When I'm urban camping, I mostly live on low prep food, and then I eat out a fair bit. So basically, when I'm camping in a city, the closest I get to cooking is shaking a bag of salad. And then outside of that, I eat a lot of jerky, cheese, crackers, snacks, fruit, carrots, muffins, snacks, and a shitload of trail mix. And then I have a multivitamin as well to round out my diet, just because I'm presumably missing a bunch of nutrients in there as well. But when I'm camping outside of the city, which is like 3 or 4 days a week, then I can just get my stove out and actually cook some shit up, which is nice. As for where I sleep, I was originally sleeping on a folded down bench under here. But sleeping on a 5'4" bench as a 5'11" human fucking sucks. So I eventually bought an El Cheapo air mattress, which I'm just using to tie me over until I can build an actual bed. Lastly, I shower at the gym, and as for where I do my business, I have my golden shower. And for anything more serious, I normally just go wherever I'm charging my laptop that day, which is like normally the library or whatever. Plenty of public toilets around, folks. Anyway, that concludes the tour of my tin can. Next up, we're going to have a look at everything I've learnt from life at level 1. As for self-defense, which is pretty important when you're living on your own in a foreign environment with actual bears and an armed populace, I've got a BB gun, a couple of knives, and a big stick. Now I wasn't sure whether or not to get a gun, and I was on the fence about it after I woke up to find a few coyotes sniffing around the van one morning. Then a few days after that, I'm at an Outlook watching the sun set over the beautiful city of Austin. Excuse me. And some guy comes up and he wants to know if I want to have a little fun. He was nice enough about it. It was still creepy though. Then, a couple of weeks after that, I'm at Ria's Pizza, Pistols, and Ammo, which is an actual place deep in the Texas Panhandle. Anyway, I'm talking to Ria, and the cool thing about the Panhandle is that you can pretty much walk into any store and lean up against the counter and just go, "How's it going?" And they just start talking. It's great. Anyway, so I'm talking to Ria, and he asks if I've got a gun, to which I reply, "Why do I need a gun?" To which he replies, "Myth. There's a lot of myth going around these parts." So that had me pretty concerned, but as it turns out, I can't legally own a gun as a foreigner. So then I was I was tossing up whether or not to get a BB gun or a flare gun. And the flare gun seemed like a cool option because A, it would be hilarious to wield in a standoff. And B, you can aim it at the sky if you need to, not just at people, coyotes. But in the end, I went with the BB gun because it's nice to have more than one shot at an intruder. But what you got to know about the BB gun, is it is a shoot and run weapon. All it's doing is buying you a small amount of time for you to get out of there. And then the stick is great for whacking shit when I'm out hiking. Yeah. Unfortunately, doesn't come free. If you're living in a van and you're stuck at level 1, yeah, it'll cost you. It'll cost you a lot of personal space, a lot of physical comfort, most of your possessions, degree of hygiene, unfortunately, a lot of safety. Especially if you're by yourself. If you're with another person, it might be different, but when you're on your own, yeah, you're kind of just relying on yourself. Number 6, you will lose, yeah, your shit in the van constantly. At least until you've got enough places to put things. Number 7, you'll lose a bit of your pride, at least initially. And then number 8, the last one is your fucks. You will lose pretty much most of the fucks you have to give, because when you're living in a van, you're really not going to give a fuck about most of the shit people worry about, which is kind of liberating. And if you can hack it out long enough, you will most likely gain or strengthen. Number 1, a sense of self-reliance. Number 2, mobility and freedom. Number 3, physical strength. Although it may not look like it, I have actually gotten quite a bit stronger simply because I'm showering at a gym and exercising. Number 4, a sense of adventure and an escape from bullshit. And if you can't find it, you can just keep rolling until you do. Number 5, some of the most ridiculous experiences you'll ever have. Number 6, peace and bloody quiet. Number 7, a new view of materialism, simply because you have much less room to own as much stuff. Number 8 is a reduced carbon footprint, and that's something I'm hoping to go into more detail in a later video. And then the last one, number 9, is economic freedom. So I'm spending about $25 a day rolling around the country, and I'm hoping to get that down a bit lower. But yeah, money is still an issue, but it's now much less of an issue, which is great. Okay, so those are the personal costs and gains as I see them. And now to finally finish this fucking video, we're going to have a look at the effects on the individual. And to represent that in a manner that we can all understand, I've borrowed a bunch of status bars from The Sims and added in a couple of my own, so they should be down there. So my physical health is the best it's been in years. I think that is mostly due to the lack of drinking buddies out in the wild, but yeah, all the time I'm spending outdoors and all the physical activity is definitely helping a shitload as well. And then I put mental health in there as well, because yeah, I think it's pretty easy to overlook, but as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most challenging aspects of mobile housing, at least in the early stages. And yeah, mine definitely dipped significantly during winter when I was freezing my tits off in the middle of nowhere with no one to talk to. But overall, it's been alright, and it's getting better now that the sun's out. So comfort was the lowest performing category, but it's also the most easily modifiable. So we're going to hope to see that rise as we pimp out the van, make it more comfy. And then the van life definitely has its up and downs, certainly. But for the most part, it's been really fun. Finding a toilet does require some foresight, though. And then as far as hygiene goes, excuse me. Yeah, it's definitely slipped a bit, but I can still scrub up when I want to, so it doesn't really bother me. And then lastly, my energy's been a bit lower. I think that's because I'm expending more trying to survive. And my bed sucks, but hopefully we can improve that too. Okay, so in summary, life at level 1 is pretty fucking rough, but it's doable, at least short term. So I was at it for about 3 months before I met some really lovely folks here in Boulder who have been kind enough to let me crash at their place for a bit while I recharge my humanity after all that time in the wild. However, with the addition and modification of some very basic infrastructure and the improvement of my own vehicle, I really think it can be a lot easier and safer and easier to manage for people in the future. Yeah, so while this video was vaguely looking at what it's like at level 1, the next video will be looking at how to do it a little more closely. Or survival tips from someone making it up as they go. Why am I doing this? La, 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 la. Whoa, back in the tree. Yeah, we made it. We finished this fucking video. And you watched it the whole way through. Nice. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in a few weeks. And yeah, stay excellent. Peace.